of the Power Widgets Deep Dive show. Today, the special guest on the show is Benedikt Bergmann. Hi, Benedikt. Thank you so much for joining the show today. It's an honor to have you on the show, and I think we speak almost daily in various channels on the social media and stuff. So I feel like we're kind of connecting on various different wavelengths, and we kind of know each other. But for those who might be listening to you for the first time, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me, first of all. Very interested and excited to be here. So Benedikt Bergmann, my name, as you mentioned. I'm working for CRM Konsulterna in Stockholm. I'm coming from Germany, though. Moved to Sweden 7 years ago, roundabout. And we'll move back to Germany next year and open up CRMK there, which is also very exciting for me. I'm coming from developer side. So I've developed custom applications in React and Angular and C#, and then was thrown into a project with Dynamics 365 on-prem, I think 2011 it was. And I stuck to the platform since then, which is also like 8 or 9 years ago. I'm still a developer, but for Power Platform and Dynamics 365, as well as mostly a solution architect at the moment. Doing all the architecture stuff around it, but try to also develop as much as I can, because that's what I like to do. Yeah.
Brilliant.
I have a wife and 2 kids as well, to do something private here, and like to climb if I have time, if I find time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Brilliant. Right. So the main topic of the episode today is your conversation PCF control. Now, before we get into the actual hands-on demo, if you could like to give us a brief summary about what it is and what inspired you to build it, and your journey in terms of building it and then sharing it with the community.
Yeah. So around 4 years ago or so, still working for my previous employer, and I was in a project for a big Swedish insurance company. Yeah, insurance it was. And so we implemented their internal system for all the customer agents, more or less. If someone calls and say, okay, I have an insurance case, how they handle it and so on. And that was based on like Dynamics 365 customer service. So we were it was an internal team where I was as an external developer, but it was like the customers team. And they have a lot of conversations with their customers, where they write either mail or SMS, or they can chat or call, and all of those different channels should be like in one conversation. So we implemented a new version of this tool, and there were like subscripts with all the messages from where they might come, which is very. So the UI isn't the best one to see whether it was a message from the customer or from the company, because you only have like a subgrid, and then there's the text and maybe a sender, and then you have to see customer or internal or whatever you have there. So it wasn't quite easy, or wasn't quite nice for the agents to see, okay, what was the conversation, who has written what, and so on. And it was I mean, I don't know how old PCFs are, but it was not that old yet, and I had done like 3 or 4 of them, and I was like, that might be a good use case for a PCF, like showing the content of the subgrid as a WhatsApp-like conversation, like our stuff on the right side in one color and the stuff from the customer in another color on the left side, so that you immediately can see, okay, that is what we have written and that is what the customer have written. Since the customer doesn't want to pay for it, but I had some time and I like to do stuff for the community, I decided on doing that on my own, and I talked to my colleagues or peers about it, like, I don't know, maybe on a Thursday, and the Monday day after, I was like, I'm done. Here it is, version 0.5 or so. And they loved it, and then we developed it a bit further, like within the project. But since I left the project, I haven't had done so much work for it. I know that they still use it, and it works fine and perfectly for them. But I have some more stuff I would like to do if I would have the time, as well as I have some issues on GitHub because it's open source. We come to that later. I will show you, but yeah, there are some open issues I have to fix. And one, for example, I know they are using it like internally, like conversation between two teams, and they changed like the sides based on who is looking at it. So they have basically two subgrids. One has like from team A on the right side and team B on the left side, and the other one is the other way around. And depending on who is looking at the form, they hide and show those, which is also quite nice because then you have always like your stuff on the right side and the stuff from the other team on the other side, on the left side. So that's also possible. Yeah.
Brilliant. That sounds really good. I mean, it's so nice to hear that this was actually for a real use case, for a real client. I mean, you hear a lot of community projects where people are inspired by, you know, personal challenges that they've had and stuff that they're doing, but not necessarily for a real client or just something that they do experimentally, and then it ends up being a tool out there. So the fact that this is a real use case and a real used by real clients is something I think which is quite different, quite unique, I think.
Yeah, and
So yeah,
I'm happy that I have done it in like my free time, because if I
yeah,
would have done it in the project, I wouldn't been able to share it with the community. Now I'm able to, since it's mine. I was like, okay, then I can do it open source and get more feedback and so on. Yeah, that's nice.
brilliant, brilliant, cool. Yeah, so if you'd like to show us the tool in action, please. Yeah, if we like to kind of get into the depth of it really. So ideally, if you can show us like the configuration of it as well as the kind of end user experience as well, and then we get into a bit more detail as we progress.
Yeah, sure. I will share my screen, and it's my third screen. That's why I will look a bit to the left.
That's okay, no worries.
So because that has the right size. Let's see, so that I see you again. Yes. So I prepared a really like simple demo. So it's in one of my development environments. I just created some demo entities which are related. You can see on the left side we have demo case, and let me just open another program I would need. Here we are. So on the left side you see that we have like a demo case, and this is related to the demo message. So every case has several messages. So it's a quite easy data model, and it could be anything, but so the messages show that it has to be an activity. So it could be any activity, but at the moment it has to be an activity. And now I have opened one case which I created. I'm the owner, and there are some fields which we need for other functionality. But on the right side, you see the conversation control, and it shows like the messages from one side on the right side and from the customer on the left side. They can even have HTML in it, so that you have like text, colors, or links or so. So depending on where it's coming from, that might be of interest. If it's, for example, an email, then that could be HTML. It has a header, and it shows the time when it was sent. Take a look at here. So that's a bit older information here. And one request was to have one request was to have an additional, and I have to think, because that's like I don't think that I have that on my GitHub yet. I tested around with having like another level of header here, but yeah. And it can be as long as you would like to have. Now I have only 25 messages, but if there would be more, it would show like a lot more button, and then it would load the next whatever is configured. And then we have the same information in the subgrid here. And that's what I meant. It's I can't on the first sight see which message comes from the customer and which is from us. You have it here, user or customer, but it's not as nice and easy to see as we have it like up here, where you directly see, okay, who has written what and when. And it's, I mean, all the design and all the stuff I have taken from WhatsApp, more or less.
Yeah, of course.
So where is which information? I mean, it's not configured here, but you could even have like the check marks on whether it was sent or read already. I mean, that has to be come into the Dataverse information as from some third-party integration, and usually don't have that. For the specific customer, they had it because they used it on the like the customer could log into the portal, and they would get messages there. Probably that was one way, and in that case, we would know when they have read it, because then it would be in their portal, and they had like some code was okay, when we have shown it to them, we will mark that in Dataverse, and then the agent can see here, okay, the customer has like received it and he has seen it, as we have in WhatsApp.
So is that is that a feature that's already built into the control?
Yes. I just don't have it in here. We can try to here you have like the two fields that one would need. So I can, if I go into one of those messages and set those to yes, they should show up. If it's configured that way, we can see later. Oh yeah, that states. Why is it not showing? Oh, it's inactivated. Is it? Since it's an activity. Yeah. I will create a new message probably. So, but that's basically how it looks like for for the user in for the end user. Let's just set some date here.
So whilst you're creating that, then that the UI rendering of it, is that something that's read only then, so you can't actually send messages from the controller?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, it's only like read only. It's only showing information. It's not for sending out information. You can have like whether it has attachments or not, because then it will show like a small, what is it, office clamp? What is it called?
Yeah, the paperclip. Yeah,
a paperclip. Thank you. Yes. So let's see whether it's showing up or not, because depending on the configuration, it might only show those that are marked as complete. Yes. Let's see. Test 1, and we mark it as complete. That's also why it was inactivated. Going a bit back and forth. That's from. Yeah, that should be that one. Is it? No, that's not the one. Sorry. Where is it? Is it showing up here? And oh, that's 2023. Let's see. Here it is. Oh, it doesn't have the description. Sure. Because the description is what is shown. Sorry. Let me just create a new one. Just jumping a bit back and forth here. So let's say that it's test power, so that we know where it is. It was maybe sent 1st of April, and they have read it 10th, let's say. It was from us. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have any errors, and it has a description. test text. So save. And it's not there. Sorry. There it is. There it is. And if we zoom in a bit, then you can see that it has this little paperclip, and it has this two check marks that they have seen it and they have read it, or at least you have shown it to them. Yeah. And it's marked in a different way because, or the color is a bit different. So those are not sent, and this one is sent. So those are more drafts. Yeah, it's because it's test data, more or less. So,
yeah.
So there are different colors for it. And then you could, I mean, now it's like, as you have it in WhatsApp as well, the newest messages on the top and the latest messages at the bottom, but you can resort that if you want to. Especially if it's a very long conversation, that might be better. Otherwise, we have to scroll a lot. But it depends on the it depends on the subgrid. So it just takes the data from subgrid. To be honest, there are two different configuration ways. So either you can depend it on a subgrid, or you can depend it on a different, like a custom relationship and so on. Because there was one requirement. Yeah, exactly. Because they wanted to show the conversation also on the message. So if they go to the message, they also wanted to see the conversation, which is related to the case and not the message we are on. So like if I would open this one, they wanted to have like a conversation here, which shows the same thing. And then I can't do a subgrid for it, because then I'm not on the parent, I'm on a child. So I would have to do it in a different way. So this control, which would be here, would then, like, you would specify, okay, what is the parent ID? What is the parent entity name, schema name, and where do I find the ID? And then it will build like a fetch XML and fetches the information and shows it in this way. And then that could also be used, like, for example, if you have a third, let's say you have, like, for example, customer or account, and you want to show the latest conversation on the latest case, then you could do that on account as well, because it's not directly related, but, or yeah, you can select like a different something which isn't on a subgrid, so to say. Yeah.
Cool, nice, brilliant. That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Did you want to did you have any more features to show, or can we did you want to get into the actual configuration of it now?
Yeah, I mean, we can go into the configuration, and then we might see some more features where I can explain them when we configure them. And what I wanted to show as well, I have since the configuration isn't straightforward, it's not very easy. It has a lot of different parameters and possibilities and so on. I have written like a blog post on it, where all the configuration is mentioned and explained. So if some of the listeners or viewers can't follow, I mean, yeah, they can take a look at it again because it's on YouTube, but they can also go here and maybe we can write it in the description, because here everything is like explained. But we can take a look. I have one solution, which is my conversation control demo, and there I have a model-driven app, and that is also one thing. I have developed that for model-driven apps. That's where it's working. I mean, since we have the new UI and look and so on, and we have the dark theme coming up, and so I have to do some work on it, so that it will also look good in like the new UI and so on. I haven't had time for that yet, but for model-driven app, it's working. It is not at the moment, or I think I have done it once in Canvas apps, if I remember correctly, but it is not working in Pages or Power Pages at the moment. Yeah, that's on my list to improve. like to make it possible for all the 3 apps we have. But yeah, there wasn't enough time yet for it. So if anyone is up to, feel free to do it and send me a pull request.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. I mean, that was going to be one of my later questions anyway. I mean, is there? I mean, I've not done much with PCF controls yet. Is there a concept of being able to build a single control which can target all of those different application types, or do you have to build one separately for each?
No, I mean there is at least the ones I have created. I have one, for example, which is a text control, which checks whether the input is a valid Swedish social security number or Nordic social security number, because it also works for Finland and Denmark and Norway. Because at least in Sweden, that's the number everyone uses for everything. Will it be from registering to websites and your like insurance, and I mean you need it everywhere, and you identify through that everywhere. So every project I have been in here in Sweden needs this field on the contact, more or less, because everyone needs to collect it. And obviously Microsoft does not have like an out-of-the-box function for it, because they are from the US. They don't care about the Swedish social security number. And I mean, how could they? So that's not like that's understandable. But we need it. So what we have done before is we have written like a script which we have run on change of the field, and that one checked whether or not that's the correct one. But that was a bit different depending on which developer it was, and some worked, some looked like they were working, but the numbers weren't correct or so on. And there is this open API from Skatteverket, which is like the Swedish tax agency, where you can really check whether the number is correct, because it has a certain structure, and then you also have a checksum at the end so that you can calculate, but then whether it really exists or not, because there could be numbers that do not exist. So I've written a PCF for that, and we reused it in some projects. And this one is, or should work for Canvas apps and model-driven apps. And it's a bit, you need a workaround to check whether you are in, also to determine in which of those 2 you are. At least when I wrote it, that was the case. I'm not sure whether that's easier today, but what I've done is I check whether the XRM like object is there, because if it's there, then I'm in the model-driven app. If it's not, it's a Canvas app, and then you can change your code based on that.
Right.
It's still a workaround, but it can be done in the same one, and I think that's also, I think it's better, because otherwise you have to maintain 2 code bases which do the same thing, which you never want to have. So I think it's easier to have like a switch here and there. Yeah.
Nice.
Let's see, demo case. Now we want to, no, that's not what I wanted. I don't want the app. I want to have the demo case table, and then we go to the form, and there should be a main form, and this one should have like 2 subgrids, and one has the PCF configured. Yeah, that's another thing. If your PCF control is, it has to, like the preview here is a different engine than the actual page. So whenever you write a PCF, you have to have more if and else statements to like implement that it also works here. I haven't done that, so that's why it shows an error, but it still works. So yeah, this PCF isn't showing the correct stuff here. So yeah, that's also on my list. So here we have like the conversation control down here. So it's currently only configured for the web. and not for mobile and tablet, and that's because it needs some space. So if you look at it on the mobile, it will be very, very small. So in that case, I decided, or for this customer, for example, we decided we will show subgrid because it's not a usual use case for them. Then one would have to do it more like responsive and maybe move around the messages more that they overlap, or from the width perspective that they go into each other. Like, so this could be optimized as well to have it like mobile first, or but now it's developed for web, and then as you can see here, there's quite a lot of configuration, but we can go through that. I think that would be good. Exactly. So first of all, we have to say which in which column do we have the description or the text we want to show. In my case, I decided that's the description, and then we have to specify in which column is like the sender. So because it needs sorry. Yeah.
So those are the schema names of those columns, yeah?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you have like this little checkbox for all of them. As you can say, bind to table column. In that case, you can do that like dynamically, because then you can have on your, in that case, you can have one column which includes the schema name of the column that includes the text in your subgrid. So then you can use like the same configuration and show different stuff left and right. And that might be, for example, that's how they could do it like for the different teams. So first they did like the two subgrids and show and hide them, but they also, and I think that's what they did thereafter, I'm not sure because it wasn't my project, they could like do a bind to table column, and then they would just change like, okay, what is the customer, the identifier on one side is the one and on the other side is the other one, and then it will like switch around basically. So but otherwise, so then we need to have the column of the sender so that it's either we or customer, more or less, so that we can say, okay, the PCF can say it's on the right, on the left side, green or gray, as you have seen. And then you specify, and that should be an option set or choice field, sorry. And then we specify the value that identifies a customer, which is just the int for this option in the option set. Then we might have a date column. In this case, it's created on. We could have a read column that will show like those two check marks there. In our case, it's my read column, and that should be only a yes or no field, more or less. Then we have the published one, also yes or no field, and that is changing the color of, I mean, you have in the demo, we have seen like that we have one is a lighter green and one is a darker green. So when it's published, it gets a bit darker, and when it's not published, it's a bit lighter. Then we have the has attachment column, also just yes or no to show the paperclip. Has error columns because some of the integrations from this customer weren't as stable as we would like to have it. So in some cases, they have sent a message and it errored out, but they were like, oh, we have sent it. So the customer should have received it, but they have not. So in that case, the integration would write back to the has error column, and there's also an error field. And then the message will be shown in red, so that they can see it here in the conversation control. Okay, this message wasn't sent because there is some error on it, so they can investigate, or the IT department can. Then we have a sender name string. Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one up here, because if it's a whole team, they would like to know who in the team was the sender, and they would like to see it here, so they can write in like the sender name, which is just a free text. So we could have like some JavaScript which just takes the username and puts it into the field whenever they create a message, and then it will show here that yeah, that was Benedikt, or that was, I don't know, Kalanka, which is some, what is it called? Donald Duck in Swedish. Yeah. Filterkallen. Oh yeah, we can filter that. I have some text here. So we can filter, now I have to, it was so long ago, filter value. Yeah, in some cases, they only wanted to show some of the messages. So they wanted to have like an option to filter away stuff. So in that case, yeah, there's used number, and then we would write like one value in here, and then all of those will be it will be filtered to those. I'm not using that really in the demo, but yeah, that's a possibility that, yeah, I'll show only some of them somehow. Then we can decide whether or not we want to have a scroll bar, or whether it should just continue and we use the page scroll bar. So now it's a page scroll bar, but we could have like same size and then a scroll bar within. Then we have the max height, and if it's not specified, it will take all the space there is. And then we have the open strategy. In this case, it's write modal. We have center modal, new window, or current tab, and that's what happens if I click on one of those. In that case, it opens in a write modal. It could also open like in the center or in a new page, yeah, depending on what we select there. Then we have the modal width. In our case, it's 50%, so it's half the site, or I can do it like 30% or whatever I would like to do. Then if there aren't any messages, whether we should show an empty message or not. In that case, we will not. If it should render HTML or not, or just print it out. And then we have a lot of colors. For example, like the message we have sent, the background color, the text color for them, the metadata text color, which is like down here, those, yeah, all the metadata information like time and yeah, the name up here and so on. And
sorry, so would that date and time value be sensitive to the local options of the user then?
Yeah, I mean, it's just taking the information we get from the subgrid. So yes, yeah. Then the color of the check marks, whether they were read or not, and all of those have like default configurations, which is basically this one. But you can have it in your company's color, like, I don't know, blue and orange check mark instead of green and blue check marks, or whatever that might be the thing. We also did different colors for this customer because they have like it's the biggest Swedish insurance company. They have their marketing and color schema, so we followed that. Then we have an error text color and an error metadata text color, so that they can be different, and also background color for errors, yes. And yeah, not published background color and a not published message color and not published metadata color. And the same for the received ones. We always have like background, text, metadata for all the different combinations. And then which is interesting is information whether or not we should use the subgrid data. That's what we talked about a bit earlier. In this case, it's yes. Then all the other ones are basically ignored. But we can also do like a no. And then it will fetch it with like it will build up and fetch XML and get the information. And in this case, it needs the entity name. Yeah, and that's the entity that should be loaded within the control. So that's the like activity. And what is the field, like the lookup field on this entity? So yeah, that I can do like a filter on it. And what should be the sorting column and sorting order, ascending or descending. And it will, in that case, like if I do that on a certain, if I would do that on a case, I would specify the message, like BEB message schema name of my message table, and what is the case lookup on my message. Sorting is optional, and then it will automatically take my cases ID, because that's what it knows, because that's where it's showing on this case, and filter all the sub or all the messages they're under, so to say, or the other way around, more or less. It is a long time I have used this one here, I have to admit. Yeah, so that's basically what you can configure. So it's quite a lot of configuration which you can do there.
Yeah, definitely lots of options, and I think it just goes to show the power of the control, right? There's so many different things you can configure and display the way you like and stuff like that. So yeah, so good to see that. And I guess it's a testament to the effort they've put into it. So yeah, really like that. I really appreciate that. Okay, cool. So I mean, so just coming back to some of the questions then. So one of the objectives of the PCF controls is basically to well, my understanding is to promote reusability. So we're building a control once and then being able to use it across different areas of an application. Even what kind of enables the ability to share it in the community. So you've built it once and you've shared it with other people, and they're able to use it. So what sort of things do you need to think about, or the approaches you take in the design of the control to enable that sort of thing? What kind of aspects do you have to consider?
Yeah, I mean, I think you should consider the usual stuff you do when you develop, so that you clean and develop, or you develop in a clean way, so that it's readable for others as well, and not over complicated or too complex. And then, I mean, there are things, especially when it comes to PCF, that you might have to consider, that it's like done in the correct or in a correct way. We actually have a list. So if some colleague, okay, no, I have to start from that. Whenever we want to use PCF, which is like from the PCF gallery, for example, we have to check it. So we can't just use it. Because yeah, we need to check that it's meeting like our standards, and it does not send any information to third parties and so on. Because I mean, it's just a TypeScript thing. It could do whatever it want to. It could read information from your form and send it to, I don't know, some OneDrive or some API, and so on. And if you do that on the contact, then the field names are, I mean, it knows where the first name, last name, address is, because we use the standard fields. So it could read this information and send it somewhere else. And you don't want to have that. And therefore, internally, we have made a decision that we want to check stuff. So we have a checklist for that. Now I'm a month off because I'm on parental leave, so I don't have the checklist in my mind at the moment. But I mean, there are the ways that you shouldn't change, for example, the init to an async function that might or will break. There are certain ways of how you should specify variables and so on, and how you read it from your configuration, and how you use the web API, for example. So those, whenever a colleague wants to use a PCF, one of us developers will check it, and then accept it and move it into or copy the source code as it is to one of our internal repositories. And I would recommend for others, and for those that want to like develop PCFs. Yeah, make sure that you don't do any weird stuff, and check the blogs from Diana Bickelbach. She has good content on PCFs overall, and also like the best practice and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, we'll put the link to Diana's blog in the show notes.
Yeah.
So would you say one of the foundational principles of reusability in PCF is basically not making any assumptions around how the control is going to be used, which sort of environment, which sort of form or table is going to be used in, and make as much of the information that you need to make the control work, make that kind of the configuration options that the configurator would have to pass into the control.
Yeah, exactly. So I have found our evaluation list in the meantime, internal evaluation list. So one of the things which is important and gets like lost or forgotten here and there from people developing PCFs, that's for example how it behaves when it comes to like field level security and time zones, as you mentioned. Especially field level security, that's usually not on the list of people. But just imagine you have like some text field, and for example, my person number, so your social security number thing, and that's personal information. That's really personal information. In some customers even only have like certain people that are allowed to see this social security number after they have done some certificate and they really shown that they know what they are doing there and which harm they could do if it leaks out. So they have a field level security on this field. So my PCF has to honor the field level security. Otherwise, I will leak out information that might not be. Some people would see stuff they're not allowed to. So that's one thing we usually check, and I would recommend people to really look at that and see how you do it. It's because it's not so hard in the configuration. You get like back, or in like in the information of your field, you get back what like, yeah, is it a read mode or read only mode or whatever, but you have to also do it that way. So you get back the value, but then you have to maybe hide it, or depending on like what it is. And the same is for like time zones. It's very easy that you get the UTC and the user has UTC +2, and then it shows a different time and so on. And how does it work is read only records. But what I've seen when I installed PCFs to test them is, okay, I have a read only record, but this PCF doesn't do any read only. It just shows the value and I can change it. Not so nice. Same for like inactivated records, which is basically the same. And also language support, which we usually check. Is it supported in Swedish or not? Most of them are not. So we have to do some stuff ourselves. Because in this case, if it comes to PCFs, the language is like baked into the PCF. We can't translate it as we do everything else in the platform with our normal translation files. It's a regex, also .regex file, which is like compiled into the PCF. So if the translation is wrong or isn't there for my language I need, then I basically have to rebuild the PCF, because I have to add a new file which will be packed into the JavaScript. Yeah. Yes.
Nice. That's nice. Really useful tips there. Thanks for that. So just moving on to a slightly different topic, Benedikt. So around frameworks and libraries. So obviously, I guess the big one for PCF controls is React. Does the conversation control use React or any kind of similar frameworks or anything of that nature?
Yeah, so it uses React. Very easy or rudimentary, but it has like, I have only, where do we have it? TSX files. I have a conversation TSX, which has some props, and that's more. For example, the random ID, and that's for I have it on all of my controls. I generate whenever a control is loaded. I generate a random ID, which will be in the HTML as the ID, so that I can have styling on those, and they can have different stylings. So otherwise, if I wouldn't have random ID for every of them, if I change the styling of one of them, it would change, like, the last one will win. So let's say we have two different conversations we would like to show two different conversations. One should be like blue and one should be red. I don't know. So if I would not have a unique ID for both of those diffs where all the conversation is in, my styling, the last styling, will override the first one because they would use the same classes. So that's, for example, one thing which I have here. So whenever I load the page, it generates random IDs for those two in that case, so that the styling works. And so some configuration which is on the like conversation level, and then I have a list of messages, and this has some configuration as well, like which is the record ID, what is the text, who is the sender, is it published or not, and so on. And then it builds up, depending on that, it builds up like my HTML here, and then it generates the message CSS classes, as mentioned. So should it be sent, published, not published, has an error, received, and so on, because that will like have different classes. So if I go back to my conversation here and we take a look at inspect how that looks like. So this message, for example, it's a message, it is sent, and it's not published. So, and the other one is a message and it's received, and a message sent, not published. And if I go down to this one, then this one is sent, published, and read. So yeah, that's for every message. I have like, I have a message React component that does the same thing for every message. I just send in like an array of messages, and then it builds up the stuff how it should be. So I don't have to do my own loops and so on. So there is where really the React is coming in handy, because also if I have like the lot more button at the bottom, if I click that, which is like basically above the conversation. Like if you remember, I have a conversation React, but the lot more is like, it's directly in the PCF, and the conversation React is like a sub thing of the PCF. And if I load that, then I just change like the array of messages for the conversation. And since it's React, it re-renders everything. And I don't have to do that myself and delete stuff everywhere and so on, because I don't have to add all these HTML tags myself. So there is where React is really helping me out to building up all this stuff. And yeah, so that's basically where I use React in that case. But the problem is that it's not using like the virtual React yet, because it wasn't a thing when I developed this one. So there is some refactoring which I would have to do, because at the moment it loads like an own React instance into the PCF, which makes it big.
Yeah, interesting. So for somebody who's coming new to React, then like me, would you say one of the main benefits of React is to make your code cleaner and make it easier to kind of have the UI elements sensitive to the data that it's bound to effectively, and it does all of that binding semi-automatically, or makes it easier for you at least?
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I don't use React on all of my components, because the other ones are mostly just like text, a single line of text components. And then it's like, I think it would be overkill to have like a huge React file just for like showing a text or not. So I don't loop over an array and show stuff here and there. Because that's basically already handled like in the PCF framework. So whenever something is changing, another like the function of PCF is recalled, so I can handle that there. I don't need React for it. I mean, the whole model maps are built on React. So, but when it's a bit more complex, as this is, then it makes sense to use the advantages we have for React, as you mentioned, like binding and reload stuff automatically whenever the source is changing and so on, so that we have to don't have to do everything ourselves. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Thanks. So I mean, you mentioned around you touched on the performance side for a React command. Are there any other similar kind of runtime implications you need to be aware of when using frameworks like React?
No, I mean, yeah, the one thing is the performance, as you mentioned, because especially here, what happens is model driven apps is built on React. They use a certain version. I don't remember which one is it, 15. I don't know, some version they use. And in the beginning, when we got PCFs, we weren't able to use like the React version or the React they are already loading into the browser for the model-driven app. We had to pack our own React, like the whole React JavaScript stuff into our PCF, which made it huge and has some performance implications, especially if you have several PCF controls on the same page. Because all of them, I mean, if I have like my social security number thing and the conversation control, and maybe I have another one for telephone numbers to check whether those are correct, those all could be like on, for example, the contact something. All of them, if I would use React, they would have their own instance of React. And it might be the same version, but it is packed into this PCF. So it would load the same JavaScript, huge JavaScript file several times. That's not very performant. So that could be an issue. Since I usually don't, I mean, I don't overuse PCFs. I just use them when they're really needed. It hasn't been quite a big problem because, I mean, to be honest, the platform isn't very fast either way. The users are used to it. But yeah, that might be a problem. Other than that, I mean, there could be security issues depending on which framework you're using. I mean, we both are very active in this Discord server, which is great. So for everyone who isn't there yet, please join. We might just drop the link in the notes as well. It really is great. And but there's always some discussions about, okay, have you checked all your npm packages, whether are they secure, or if they have some yeah, I don't know, security issues or shouldn't be used any longer and so on. That could always happen if you use some npm package, because you can. I mean, for example, for the telephone number thing, I use a different npm package too, which is, yeah, it is a package where you can send in a number and say, okay, that should be a Swedish number, and it says, nope, it is not. Or yes, it is, and it formats in like the correct way, like spaces on the correct way, parentheses on the correct place, and so on, depending on which country it is for, which is quite nice. But still, I mean, I'm relying on a third-party npm package. So if they do some stuff, then which isn't so nice, then I'm like, yeah, I'm relying on them. So that should be checked. That could be an issue as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. It's really good insight to some of the kind of advanced level stuff in PCF control development. So just hopefully wrapping up soon, Benedikt. How do people get access to this control then? Is it on PCF Gallery? Do people get the managed solution and just install it and use it?
Yeah, so exactly. If you go to PCF Gallery, now I've was badly prepared. I have to open it. Authors, and then you go to Benedikt. Nice, because there's only one, as always. That's good with that name. So there you have like all the PCFs I've created, and here you have the conversation control as well. And then you can go to download. So you come to my GitHub. I have a repository which is called PCF controls, where all my controls are in. And there you also have like examples and configuration, all the different configurations you would need, and then improvements and new functionality I would like to do, and haven't had time yet. Sorry. And then if you go to like the PCF controls, you have release, which is a bit older already, but here you can download like managed solutions, which only contain the PCF. And as always, I would not recommend to use those in production. What we do internally and what I also would recommend is use those to do a POC and test your stuff, or test the PCF, install it and test it out, so you can get rid of it very easy in your environment. But if you then would like to use it, clone the repository so that you have the current version you have tested and gone through in your repository. Because I mean, I could do changes in the next, or I won't, but theoretically, I could do a change that I will send information to myself in it. So you don't want to use the latest version on GitHub. You want to use the version you have tested and you have checked. So copy it to your repository and rebuild it and deploy it with your prefix or your customer's prefix in the best way so that it can be included in your solution. Because you don't want to end up with, like, if you use 10 PCFs from PCF gallery, you don't want to use with don't want to end up with 10 managed solutions from 10 different PCFs with 10 different prefixes in your production environment. You want to have them included in your solution that you can deploy them through your ALM and have your own prefix or the customer's prefix in the best way. So then you would have to rebuild the PCF. But those are good for like testing and see whether they work for you or not. And there you have like the latest version directly as a managed solution. And also I have some open issues. So if you have anything, open an issue. I will come to it if I have time. Some of them are open quite long now. Yeah, but I will. And if you want to change something, just send a pull request. So that's welcomed. Yeah.
Cool, brilliant. So any license people need to be aware of, any costs or anything like that, or totally?
No cost. Brilliant. It's free.
Brilliant. So kind of you. Thank you, Benedikt.
It's GPL free license, so you can use it, change it. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, you've already answered the question around open source. That's brilliant. People can contribute to that as normal. So yeah, I think the last couple of questions around you've had a brilliant level of engagement from the community on this, on your blog post and in the GitHub repository as well, with people raising issues and stuff. Was there anything you had to do in particular to promote that or get that level of engagement? Just think about somebody who's coming new to kind of building tools for the community. Would they have to do anything special to achieve that level of engagement?
I don't know. I haven't done anything special for this to engage. It was more like, as mentioned, I have done it either way. So I put it on my GitHub and on the PCF gallery, and I think somehow people found it and used it or tried to use it and had some issues and wrote to me. So if someone is like trying to create a PCF, I would say list it at the PCF gallery. Or send it in for the PCF gallery, and Guido will check it and list it, which is, I think, a lot of people are looking there for inspiration and tools or PCFs they could use. In general, I think writing blog posts about it is a good thing. And then if you don't have, or everyone should start, because everyone has something to say. So it's not. I often know I don't have anything to say. It's the same thing as everyone else is telling, or 10 others have told. But they're always like personal inputs and other like angles on stuff. So it's always worth it. And then also list your blog on the different newsletters we have, like the Power Platform Weekly and the Power Platform Dev Weekly, so that they will then might be sent out and then you have like a bigger audience, and then they will see your blog post about a certain PCF and so on. Yeah.
Thank you. Last question. So you've been building conversation control now, I think, for about 4 years or so. And it's as we saw today, it's really, really powerful. It's come a long way. Do you have any plans for it for future releases, or any further features you're planning to add to it? What can we expect now?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to use the visual React, and I think I have to refactor stuff because I have learned more than I have known when I wrote it 4 years ago, and I would like to make it work for Canvas apps and portals, as well as like all the lists we have down here. Some of them are done actually, but yeah, pagination, for example. So I would like to do those, but I haven't had time for that yet. So we will see. There isn't any specific release planned for anything at the moment. There might be. I mean, if I fix those issues I have at the moment, then there will be a new release. There are 2 for the conversation control, but there isn't any plan at the moment.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. That's been really useful, Benedikt. I really enjoyed that, and I've learned so much. Thank you so much for spending the time to talk to me tonight. It's been a real honor, and I think the users will be really find this really insightful as well. So, I mean, you've built a lot of other things. I'm hoping you can come back on the show at a later date to talk about one of your other great tools. It's been an honor to have you. So, thank you so much, Benedikt.
Thanks for having me.